So I was thinking a lot today about the styles of investing, two styles in particular, that I think most artists use when it comes to investing in their art or in their art journey. And it's an interesting thing to think about, and I think that it's a good thing to have an answer to what your style of investing in art is. And it can be valuable for the choices you make in your art career or your art journey today. All right, so before we get into talking about the two styles of investing in art, I will ask you one thing. Please hit that like button. I have lately been investing money, a little bit of money, not a ton, into trying to up my audio quality and my video quality. And I know that it's shown some return on my live stream, but I just bought like a little lapel mic for these car videos that I do on my way home. I record these on my way home where I work as a full-time art director. And I just ask that you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that bell so you get notifications before we go live. And maybe share this with a friend. And I know people ask you to do that all the time, but that will encourage me to continue to invest in these YouTube videos and get things like mics, which, by the way, this current video is the last video probably that I will record just raw to my camera, right? Hopefully my next one will sound a million times better, or I might find that those lapel mics are terrible, have to return them, but I'll probably find out when I get home because they should have shipped by today. Okay, enough rambling. You've hit that like button. I know you care, and so let's get into it. Let's get into the topic of investing. Okay, so I thought about this morning because I have a habit in the morning that I've developed over the last year of taking about $1, anything ranging from $1 to $5, and putting that away in little tiny futures investments that I am hoping will bear fruit in the future. Now, I never grew up around people who invested their money. My family definitely didn't do a lot of investment or anything like that. And it actually has had a pretty noticeable difference in the way that the people I know did and the other people that I'd observed who had invested money did much later on in life, in the sense of just having less stress when it comes to finances. And I hate to say it, most of the people who had less stress were people who had invested when they were much younger. I probably should have started that habit when I was 18. But it's probably better for me to start now and then 10 years from now high-five myself than not start at all and lose out on the opportunity to ease some of that monetary stress that we're all going to feel as we get older. So, part of what I have noticed with investment is there's two ways that people tend to invest to make profit. Actually, three. So I'll mention the three, and then I'll take two of them and relate them to art. So one is you buy a stock that gives good dividends. So basically, you buy a stock, and then you make really micro amounts of dividend payments that come out either quarterly or, annually or biannually. But basically, it's like for owning the stock, the company gives you a dividend of their profit, like a little tiny piece. Like usually it's like 50 cents per stock or something like that. And that can add up, especially as you accrue more and more stocks. It's like a way to make passive income on stocks. By the way, I'm not giving financial advice. I'm just saying how I've noticed it works. And I'm by no means, if you're interested in stocks, talk to a completely different person than me. I'm only a year into this. Okay. The second way that I've noticed that people tend to buy stocks, or why they would buy stocks, is that those stocks, over time, if the company is of value, will tend to grow. Not all stocks, but if a company is very valuable and is around for a long time, a stock you bought for like $1 could grow to be like a $200 stock, or it could be a $1,000 stock. Just think of people who bought into Apple back when it was like a penny stock, and how much money those people would have if they had 100 stocks that cost them 100 pennies. That would have grown quite a lot. And so just doing that in your head, because I think Apple currently, I can't remember, I actually own some Apple, but it's like, I think they're currently at like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get this wrong, but I think it's about like $200 a stock, something around there. So 200 times 100, right? You made a pretty good profit there. So that's one of the reasons people buy stocks, right? Is they hold the stock for the long term, hoping that what they got has value, and value that will grow. And a company that might not be recognized now, maybe 20 or 30 years later, will be so valuable that that little investment was a big payoff, right? So that's kind of like long-term investing. And most advice I've read, not I'm gonna give, but I've read about buying futures, is that is the surefire, safest way to do stocks. The safest way to invest in stocks is to go for long-term gain. Now, the third style is short selling, right? Where you basically take a stock, you try to buy it, and then flip it real quick. So you're buying and you're flipping. And I guess I should say, other than short selling, like day trading, right? Where you're basically, I don't even think short selling was the right term. Day trading, basically, where you're getting the stock and maybe you put, and usually you want to put in a big amount. Like you buy, $1,000 worth of a stock, you're monitoring it, you know that's going to scoot up, and you sell it 5 minutes later, right when that candlestick line, the little graph is at its peak, and then you sell, and you've made $100 in 5 minutes, and then you do it again with another stock, and you can, in theory, in short selling, make quite a lot of money quite quickly, just by having like somewhat big chunks to flip very quickly. And they need to be big chunks because it's more expensive, and there's more taxes, I believe, in day trading. So, what does this have to do with art? Like, this is all stock stuff. And again, if you're a stock expert and I got anything wrong, definitely let me know. I already misspoke and called day trading short selling, so whatever. But yeah, please leave furious comments in my comment section. So how does this relate to art, and how can this help us frame our thinking about our own investment in our own art futures and our own art journeys? So I think of myself, my own approach to my art is very much the same as the person who's putting in $1 to $5 a day. It's very similar to my own approach to buying future stocks. I'm putting in small amounts of effort consistently in a sustainable way that won't break me, but risking just enough to where I will lose something if it doesn't work out 10 years from now, 20 years from now. But what I will gain if these little investments pay off will be substantial and rewarding. This is what I do with my art. I make a daily effort to make art. Not art like the stuff I do at my day job, which I love and I'm very proud of, and I do a pretty darn good job there. But not commercial stuff, even though it might be sold or bought. But my aim with that stuff, the stuff I'm doing at home, is to make art with a capital A. I'm not really a capital A artist. I'll proudly call myself a low artist. But my intention is to make great art. I think comics have made great art. I think that there are comic books out there, especially graphic novels, that when viewed in their entirety, it's as difficult as art is to define, it's really hard to not call them great art. That is my aim. That is my objective. That's my hope. I want to leave a good piece of art that people recognize. And maybe not now, maybe not in a decade, maybe in 20 years, maybe after I've passed away. But that's my goal. Is like, I want to do investments now to kind of get to that big aim. But it requires a lot of patience doing that. Much like, stocks, where you're putting in small amounts, and it can be tempting to put in $1,000, put it all on red, spin the wheel, and hope that I get lucky and it just happens. There is that temptation, and I'll get into how that would look, like putting everything on red on a roulette wheel for your investment, in my opinion. So what that looks like in practice is I'm making daily efforts to make big projects that I want to make a big impact. And I might have to. Right now I have 2 graphic novels under my belt. It might take me like 10 graphic novels for somebody, or I shouldn't say somebody, for a good amount of people to even give a crap about what I'm doing. And I'm working on weird stuff because I don't like most mainstream comics. I don't dislike most mainstream comics. I get bored with them. And I was reading Dave Hickey recently, and I listened to him on stream yesterday on a live stream. He's like an art critic from the 60s. He's still alive, and I wanted to check out one of his recent lectures, and it made me think a lot about this. The fact that, I want to be an artist. I don't mind being a cartoonist. I want to be a cartoonist. But my goal is to make art. My goal is to make art in the cartoon form, right? And, so why do I want to do that? Mainly for that long-term hope that at some point, maybe I'll have a shelf on the library. Like right now, I've illustrated enough books and stuff to fill a shelf on a library bookshelf. But I haven't made enough graphic novels that I've done to fill a shelf. My hope is to fill a shelf, and then hope that I've made the right choices enough to where those little investments, each of those books being a product of little investments in big chunks, I have to hope that those will pay off. So, okay, let's talk about the second. And sorry if this is taking a long time for me to get through. It's something I'm thinking of live, right? I'm thinking about this. I'm working it out, seeing where do I stand, where do I view this. So, the day trading route of investment is like you put in a big amount real quick and you hope for a quick return. And sometimes it pays off. And it pays off sometimes more than the long term because you're taking a big risk and there are big wins. So, here is what I would view as that. In art, I think that going for something that will instantly be popular or is a trending thing that's of the moment, driven by that, like you're following the trends, you're putting out the exact thing as it's hot on the market, that is going to give you, potentially, if you make the right choice and you have perfect timing, and you catch that, value go up real quick, and you sell right at the top of the candlestick, then you could be in for a whirlwind. Keeping the art tied into this analogy of fame and wealth, and definite short-term wealth. I see artists do this a lot, where they will sell in their heads, they'll give away the idea of making a big, great thing, or a body of work. It doesn't have to be books, okay? A body of work, a gallery of paintings, saying something with their art, right? I will see people sometimes sell that short by day trading. They're basically cashing in on the trend, hoping it works, taking the return, and then just cycling through that. Now, there are risks to day trading that I don't think I mentioned before. There's risks to everything, but day trading is very risky. Part of it's because when you sell that one stock, you put in $1,000 and you make $20,000 from that investment in minutes because you have perfect timing on the chart. You read the market right, you hit the button at the right time, and boom, you just turned, you made money out of nothing. It feels good. You feel smart when you do that. You feel confident. You do it a couple times, you start feeling like, okay, I'm gonna go buy a Bugatti, I'm gonna go buy a mansion, I'm doing pretty well. The problem is, a lot of day traders will live in this crazy cycle of these little moments of wealth, and then they didn't hit the button at the right time, and they lose hundreds of thousands of dollars because they've gotten confident in this day trading strategy. So while they can have a lot to gain, they have much more to lose, and they also aren't doing it in a way that is potentially sustainable if it doesn't work out. Okay, so art-wise, what does this relate to? To me, I view art day trading as chasing trends, seeking Instagram likes, seeking the $1 million book sale, seeking the result, the quick result to your art. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't promote or anything like that, and I'm not even saying necessarily this is a bad method to make products that sell really quick in the market. But it's reliant on a lot of luck and a lot of quick timing, and it comes with a lot of risk because it's not always easy to repeat. Okay. Another example of this would be fan art, and I'm not saying fan art is bad. It's just fan art is a very relative. It's an easier way to make a quick buck with the ability to draw. There's a whole bunch of things like this in art where it's easier to make a quick buck. And I'm not saying easy. I'm just saying it seems like you're making money out of nothing. Because if you draw something well that people like already, that someone else made, or invented, it's like starting a car company. You're not the first car, you're just another car, and you're not even innovating the car. Or maybe you're innovating it a little bit, but it still looks like the brand of car you're mimicking. you just save yourself all the R&D and cost and time and money to develop that new valuable thing that everything else hedges off of. I don't want to be that car company. I want to be the other car. I want to be the car that's innovating. And I'm not saying I'm succeeding at this. It's just philosophically, if I think about how do I want to invest in my art career, I want to invest for the long run. I want to make a great body of work that I can look back at, or my kids can look back at, and whether it made money or not, they can go, that was really good work. Yeah, I don't really think I'm a day trader. And I realized this with stocks as well, like real stocks. I think when I bought stocks, I did a day trade once for a very small amount. And I think I made a little bit on it too, not much. And I saw I felt the hook. I felt the feeling that I could really get used to this. Like, it's a fiery feeling. And then I realized that puts my family at a lot of risk to do. I'm not saying that analogy holds, but it also it's not my style. Like, it's just not my style. That might work for somebody else, and somebody else might actually have a lot of success with it. But for me, it would be the riskiest, stupidest thing to do, and it wouldn't even fit my own capacities because it's just not my style. My style is to slowly invest in the future. That's kind of like what I like to do. Now, it's really safe to not invest, but then you don't bear the fruit of the market. And that's where the analogy comes back. I don't want this video to come across like I was trashing day traders and art, my metaphorical day traders. I don't want it to come across like that. I want to express my opinion about why I wouldn't want to day trade and what I kind of view as that. And the risks involved for me, spiritually, I guess I should say. And I can admit, I have looked at day traders and been like, wow, they made a lot of money real quick, you know? But I gotta think about like the long-term reason that I'm in art in the first place, you know? And it's to make a long-term investment where I hope on that journey I make the right choices so that I can 20 years from now look back and go, wow, I made the thing that had value, and that value exponentially increased. So yeah, that's just something I'm thinking about today. Does that make any sense? It is a long day. I didn't fill out the analogy too big, but I hope that kind of makes sense. I'm curious, like, what your take is. What is your objective? What's your investment in art? Are you a day trader? Are you more of like a guy who's gonna buy the stock itself, hoping that you've made the right choice and that you, with enough of these investments and hopefully wise decisions, and hopefully, you know, much later in life, you'll look back and go, I'm glad I had patience, I'm glad I made investments, and I made the right call at least some of the time, and now I get the reward for it, that big reward I was hoping for. It may not be as big as the number of the short sale, you know, and I keep calling it a short sale, as the number of the day trade. But I think I'll feel good. I'll feel better about the other route. So yeah, that's something I've been thinking about a lot lately. It can tie into conceptual stuff. Are you concepting for something that can last for 20 years? Or are you concepting for something that can last today? Are you trying to make something that's evergreen? Or are you trying to make a hit song that goes out of style in a year? Do you want to be the one-hit wonder? Or do you want to be the band that has a brilliant album? I'm not actually going to criticize anyone who say, you know what, it'd be pretty cool to be the one-hit wonder. Probably would, especially if you treat it right. Like if you don't assume that one hit's going to continue and go out and get a Bugatti based on the hit, you know, or whatever, then you're probably going to be great having a one hit. Maybe that one hit funds a bunch of stuff you can do outside of it, right? But what do you want to be? What style of investor, right? Do you want to be long-term or short-term? It's an interesting thing to think about. I'd love to hear what you have to say in the comments section below. And again, thanks for watching this. Thanks for putting up with my awful audio for, you know, years now. Some of you might be new and not realize the old-time subscribers here have put up with a lot from me. And that means a lot to me, and I really do want to make things better. And so my hope is today when I get home, I'm going to open up that mic, test it out, and we're going to have better audio quality on the next vlogins. So stick around, make sure you're subscribed so you can compare this video with the next vlogins, see if it has a better audio quality and stuff like that. And yeah, invest either way, whether you're going to day trade or you're going to long-term invest in your art. If you want to bear fruit as an artist in the future, you need to be doing daily investments, I think. Whatever style, you need to be doing constant investments into your art, hoping that they bear fruit in whichever style works best for your career. So hopefully that was an interesting thing to think about. Again, you know, sometimes I'll think of something like this and I'll doubt it by being like, that's a little corny, making that comparison. I definitely don't want to come across as a YouTube person who's saying, follow these 3 steps and you'll have success. But I will tell you, I don't know a lot of people who've done a lot of daily investment in their art and haven't seen fruit eventually start bearing from it. Whether it's spiritual or monetary. So yeah, that's it. That'll do it. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.